Father's Day is tomorrow, so what is the state of fatherhood? Research is clear: children thrive when they have an involved father. However, 24 million kids live apart from their biological fathers. So why are we shocked when many of these kids find themselves pregnant, in poverty, a school dropout with perhaps jail or prison in their future? We'll be talking with our guest about the tenets of championship fathers, fathers who are loving, coaching, and encouraging. So let's get connected. This is Weekend Connection on the Bible Broadcasting Network, and my guest today on this Father's Day Eve is Carey, founder and CEO of Championship Fathering. Through his work across the country, Casey has earned a reputation as a dynamic communicator, especially on the topic of men being good fathers. He's known as a compassionate ambassador, particularly within the American sports community. He's also general editor of the 21-Day Dad's Challenge, 3 weeks to a better relationship with your kids. Carey, thank you for joining us today for Weekend Connection.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be with you.
Carey, as the old saying goes, as the home goes, so goes the nation. Give us a general overview as we begin our time together today. How can we go from fatherlessness to fatherfulness in our society? Or is it too late?
Well, it's never too late because of the blessing of being who we are. The greatest creation that God made was in His image. He made man and woman. And so there's still hope, quite naturally. I believe innately in man that God gives us the opportunity to love one another, respect one another, a man and a woman, and then quite naturally the bundles of joy that comes in the world when you have babies.
Right.
I'm so very blessed with a wonderful bride, and we have grown children, but then we also have 8 grandchildren. But what I'm saying is the bundles of joy come in the world, but then quite naturally in this world we're going to have trials and tribulations. So I do not believe it's too late, because I believe we need to do and we can win a championship with a mom and a dad and children, and it will be able to help us curtail some of the great social evils that we have.
Carey, it says on the fathers.com website that the research is clear. Children thrive when they have an involved father. Men are great at providing the finances, but not too hot in this matter of nurturing and training. But the excuse is, after all, isn't that for the mom to do?
Well, I appreciate people's comments, but the research is clear. And by the way, the research doesn't lie. And it talks about how men, fathers, protect and they provide their children. And that's so very important. I firmly believe that the father is the one takes the responsibility for the providing and protecting. It's a reason why we have that opportunity to be strong and to be able to do it. And so we struggle at times as far as the economy, as far as jobs and things, but I firmly believe it's our responsibility to do that. And it is not supposed to be left up to the mother just to emotionally or spiritually guide a family. I believe it takes a team to win a championship.
Right.
And I believe that's why you have a mother and a father. But they work together as they navigate the landscape of raising the children. And all of the children are different. All of my children, they are my bride and my seed, but they all are made different. They have a certain bent. And a father really defines that many times. He has to be involved in his children's lives and then also be aware. And that's what a head coach does. That's what a father does.
Carey, it sounds like there are many layers to this issue of fatherlessness. And I've also read in research that most men are not connected to other men for spiritual growth. Matter of fact, 63 million say they have no faith in Christ, with fewer than 10% of U.S. churches having an ongoing men's ministry. Carey, in taking care of the widows and orphans, which we're supposed to do, have we forgotten to minister to dads?
If we have forgotten, we need to wake up. And I do know this, many men at times, as you share those statistics, a lot of times we're loners.
Right.
Some dads didn't start out well. They didn't have a model for themselves. And so, believe it or not, in the richest, the most powerful country in the world, we don't get it sometimes. We just think, well, if you have money, if you have fame, if you have education, all of those are very important. But if you don't have folks that can keep you accountable, that can look you in the eye, that support you, and when men are loners, we don't do well. Men do not do well by themselves. A lot of times we talk about how ladies talk on the phone, how they engage,
That's true.
how they are open, they are honest. Men, we have to go deeper in this way. And that's one of the tenets in our book of championship fathering. Is the last tenet is enlist other dads. In essence, don't let dads fall by the wayside when they lose their job or when they have gone through an illness. A friend of mine just called me yesterday and shared with me that he has cancer. He's going to have surgery. But he was calling to let me know, but then he was asking for prayer. But he really wants his friend, Carey Casey's support emotionally going through this. You're not supposed to be by yourself and be a man and this type of thing. Yeah, we're supposed to bear the burdens of what we have to deal with, but ultimately, if you're a man or a woman, a boy or a girl, you need support. That's why God made the family. He did it because each one of us play our positions and we do it well. The family will survive. It will thrive in a great way, having a father as a head coach.
You're listening to Weekend Connection on the Bible Broadcasting Network, and our guest today is Carey Casey, founder and CEO of Championship Fathering. Carey, over 24 million kids live apart from their biological fathers. So why are we shocked when many of these kids find themselves perhaps pregnant as a teen or in poverty, a school dropout with perhaps jail or prison in their future? Because we read that half of female inmates had no father in the home.
Mm-hmm. Those statistics take place when a father is not there. By the way, there are no perfect fathers this Father's Day. All you have to do is ask my bride and my children. But if it's one thing we do work to do and try to do, is to inspire and equip fathers to be engaged in their children's lives. We don't want fathering to be boring or didactic or it's just so much work. It is hard at times, but it is a fact. I want to, and we want to let daddies know it is a priestly position. It is an awesome privilege to bring a child into the world and to be excited about being a dad and raising up the next generation that will be here long after we're gone. And I tell people many times, Steve, that my dad, he died on the same day as Coach Tom Landry of the Dallas Cowboys. And I had the privilege to be a chaplain for the Dallas Cowboys when Coach Landry was there. Both of them were 75. Both of them were men of God. But both of them were married to their brides for 50 years. Were their marriages perfect? No. But both of them had daddies that coached them along. But the point I'm making is this, Stephen, and that is this, is that my father raises me more now from the grave than when he was here.
Wow.
There were things that he taught me years ago growing up in Virginia and how I watched him. And now I'm doing it myself, and it's not rocket science. And I hear his voice when I'm sitting on planes and when I'm getting ready to speak. But I'm just so proud that I had it modeled for me. Not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm a granddad, and they call me Peepaw, but sometimes I don't get it right. But the good part is that they still love their dads. They still need their dads, even if they're divorced. The parents are divorced. The daddy still needs to be involved in his children's life. And we want to let people know, don't give up. Don't quit. This Father's Day, love your child. Look them in the eye. Tell them you love them. And to let them know that you need their love also.
Carey, as we begin to review the tenets of Championship Fathers, we come to the first tenet, which is loving. And again, men are great at showing that we care, but perhaps not so great in telling our kids we love them.
Yes. What you're saying, Steve, is so right. What came out of our research is this, and I want people to know this, Christian or non-Christian, of thousands of dads that we researched, what clearly came out is that the dads love their children. We hear about deadbeat dads and all this. Sometimes dads are dead broke dads, and they're embarrassed and they're hurt, and they can't provide for their families. You think if you were in that situation, it would be tough. But innately, what we see that comes out is that they love their children, even if they're divorced or whatever. So don't fold up your arms this Father's Day and look down your nose at your child with a scowl or whatever, but open your arms, look at them in the eye, and smile. And as tough as it might be, tell them, Julie, Bob, John, I love you. I may
Hmm.
not have been the best dad. Being the best dad, I dropped the ball. But use words like I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Tell them, son, you are the best. Well, Dad, I fumbled the ball. Well, Dad, I missed the shot. But, son, you are my son. But, Daddy, I didn't win the beauty contest. You can tell them, I love you, but you are my daughter. You are beautiful, and I love you. So, as tough as it is, practice in the mirror. And if you got to walk out and just look them in the eye and say, I got to tell you something real quick, say, I love you. Let me give you a hug and an embrace and touch and talk, and the glance of an eye goes so far, Steve, in the way of loving.
Carrie, another tenet in this matter of championship fathers is coaching. It's hard to have championship kids without championship fathers.
Yes. Every situation, Steve, you have to have leadership from the president on down. And we can talk about, well, I don't have the best dad. Well, I don't have the best congressman. Well, I don't have the best teacher or the best coach. There are no perfect fathers. But we have to coach our children, not just on the playing fields or whatever, but in life where a good coach is involved and he is aware of his children. You love a child, you coach your children, but then, as you know in the book, you model for your children. And so children don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And they don't really need their dad to have a big title, but do you have a testimony? And so I have to model before them. But I really believe we can, with God's help, we can change this culture of a fatherless culture to a fathering culture, and to be excited and be inspired, and at the center where we can equip daddies for the great job and calling that they have.
And Carrie, championship fathers also encourage. And that's so important in this age of negativity where it seems like society is working against our values constantly.
Right. But I think about it. Even I just make it plain. I'm privileged to be an African American gentleman. My dad used to always tell me, "Don't get caught up into the race and all of that, because God gave you your color. You can't boast about your race because God gave it to you. Nobody else did." And so be proud of how God made you, whether you're red, yellow, black, or white. As it states, we're precious in His sight. But I think about it. Right next door to me, there are three boys that are Caucasian. Their mother's there, has a wonderful job, but their daddy struggled and he left when the youngest boy was 2. And they are there now without a dad. But guess who their father figure is? And those kids said, "Can we call you daddy?" And I said, "Yes." And I come out to my car sometimes in the morning and I'll see a notebook page on my windshield, and it says, "Dad, can I talk to you today?" And so all of us have to think of the kids that don't have a father, grandfather, or father figure. And we have to, if we're going to change things in America, we have to become those father figures for those kids on our street. Believe it or not, if a dad is just in the home, not perfect, a girl is more confident. She's more secure.
Right.
Believe it or not, research shows that if a daddy's there, just being there, not perfect, the girls would do better in math. Also, she would probably marry a guy with similar facial features as her dad. Now, if you could see me, that would be a little scary. But but anyway, but the fourth tenet of championship father, we need to encourage kids without a dad. That's what coaches do in schools. That's what teachers do. That's what a fireman, a policeman does in their community. They must become those father figures, not just for your own kids, but for other children as well.
My guest today on Weekend Connection has been Carey Casey, founder and CEO of Championship Fathering. Carey, as we wrap up our program today, I understand there's a website that offers free fathering resources. Tell us about that website.
Yeah, www.fathers.com. We have a personal fathering profile there, and they can gauge how well they're doing as a dad, and then you get resources to help you where you may feel deficient or not up to par, and it helps me in my fathering. But we have great resources.
Carey, it's been a pleasure to talk with you today about Championship Fathers. I appreciate your time, and I trust you'll have a blessed Father's Day tomorrow with your family.
Thank you so very much, and happy Father's Day to you as well, and thank you for helping us get the word out, Steve.
Thank you for listening to this feature, a production of BBN, the Bible Broadcasting Network. BBN provides 24-hour Christian programming, great Christian music, and Bible teaching. Listen to BBN by clicking the link in the description.